Welcome to the Taking the Lead podcast, where we empower people to be unstoppable. I'm Christina Hepner with my co-hosts Leslie Hoskins and Timothy Cuneo. So you guys both know I bought my house at the end of last August. So this is like my first spring, summer in my house. And so we're doing so much yard work. I'm like now realizing like being a homeowner is a lot of yard work in this like time. But it's fun to see it afterwards.
The inflection, Timothy, there.
We've been moving rocks and stuff. So like moving rocks from one point to the other and then doing mulch and that sort of stuff. And I pulled out 7 bushes. So, I'm trying to make my home look nice.
It's not easy, but it's worth it. It's really rewarding to see the end product.
Does it hurt the next day?
When we moved the rocks, I did the lifting of the rocks. It was like tag team. We'd rake the rocks into a bucket thing. And I poured them into the wheelbarrow and, moved them. But yeah, I did hurt after that.
You know what that means, don't you?
What?
You're getting old.
I am.
Oh my God. She caught herself this morning. We were chatting and she was talking about somebody being her age. And then she quickly said, I mean, our age.
I'm trying to be nicer about it. I'm now realizing like there are people that are younger than me. So
oh my God. Timothy, how do you cope with these things? Like, what are some strategies that you use to do, right? Like the lawn mowing and the picking weeds and like kind of all of those outdoor maintenance things?
Well, I used to do it. I used to take care of all that until I had my lawnmower accident, and I'm missing part of my top toe.
But, oh my goodness, Timothy!
So, it was very painful. But I go out and weed eat. I try to do something while my wife is mowing, I bought her a brand new lawnmower a couple of years ago, a rider. So she does all the mowing, but I'll get out there with the weed eater or a blower or something. I try to do something. Whenever she's mowing, I'm out there with her. I just don't sit in the house because I feel guilty. So I do as much as I can. I will be able to trim up some branches off with a cutter or whatever. And I try to do as much as I can without destroying the yard. So.
Listen, those are the same things we do at my household. I do the mowing and my husband does the weed whacking and the blowing and all those things too.
You guys, I am not allowed to mow the lawn.
Oh my God, I love it.
Because I do too, but Johnny is so obsessed with mowing the lawn. He has to have his perfect line.
Oh, you know what? I gave up on that. I'm like, ooh, swirl over here.
Yeah.
Let me go around this tree.
That's how I am. I want to listen to something. I'm like, you do it so you can really. But he's like, my lines are perfect.
I don't know.
So it's like a baseball field.
Yeah, basically. Oh, okay. And like someone commented on it one time and now he's all like, oh my gosh, my lines. I have to get my lines perfect.
Okay,
I'm like,
please don't come look at mine. I get joy in just driving wherever I see needs to be mowed.
Oh yeah, we have a push mower because we don't have that big of a yard at the moment. But
I also put in a podcast, and then I love mowing the lawn too because then that means he's responsible for the children, right? Because I'm really focused mowing the lawn, so he's got to get track of those 2 little bodies running around.
What a good way to get a tan.
Yeah, right.
You can get the vitamin D going in you from the sun, and
I'm telling you, it's a good time. But all the rest, the picking the weeds is my least favorite and like all the landscaping. But I've somehow convinced my kids that it's fun. So I do get a lot of help with that right now. So I'm going to hold on to that as long as I can.
You could bribe them with ice cream later on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm all about bribing them. Anything. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you survived, Timothy. I had no idea that you had lost half a toe. So
next
sorry
time
about that question.
I'm going to take my shoe off and show it.
Oh, my God.
I don't think I want to see that. No,
you don't want to go get a pedicure or anything together.
So I should get a discount. I should get a 10% discount because I'm missing part of the top of my toe.
Oh, my goodness. I can't. Okay, well, this is a Monday morning. This will wake you right up.
Oh, my gosh. Who knew?
Well, we're recording on a Monday. This will air on a Thursday. Yes. So Thursday morning for everyone listening.
Yeah, to get started. Be thankful for your toes, I guess. Is the message. Oh, okay. Well, that took a turn I wasn't expecting. So
you asked.
I did. You know what? That's on me. I'll take it. But we've got to get going because we have so much to cover. We are checking back in for part 2 with a guest, and we're super pumped about it.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm so excited that we have Stuart McGregor back with us. And a little bit about him, if you don't remember, he's working in education and is now an accessibility advocate, currently working for Accessibility Standards Canada as a policy analyst, creating standards to make the world more accessible for everyone. And he's a 3-time Paralympian and Boston Marathon champion, but I know he just recently got inducted to a Hall of Fame, so I'll let him tell us when we get into the podcast in a little bit.
Stuart, welcome back to the podcast. We're excited you're here. We've already talked about your O&M experience with Leader Dog. What was your next chapter that you had with Leader Dog?
Well, thank you very, very much for having me back. It's such a privilege to be here. I can see that you guys have done your homework on me. I keep that under wraps, but thank you. You know, it is such a joy to be working with Leader Dog just on the volunteer level, but I feel like just Leader Dog is doing such great things, and I just love being a part of it. So thank you for having me part of these different committees and teams. I guess I can talk a little bit about some of the teams that I'm working with right now with
Absolutely.
Leader Dog.
Yeah.
The first is the Voices of Client Advisory team. So the goal of this team is just to strive to make the client experience at Leader Dog more positive and beneficial as possible. And you know, that's a difficult thing to do because it's so incredible already. It really is. I had the privilege of going to Leader Dog for the O&M training and the guide dog training. And both times that I went to Leader Dog, it was like magic. It was just such an incredible place, such a warm, welcoming environment. I learned so much, but more than that, I was just treated with just the utmost respect and just kind, caring people across the board. But the goal of this committee really is just to make this experience as wonderful as possible and for the clients to gain as much out of the experience as possible. So I've had the privilege in being in education and in accessibility for many years. And so I'm just leading or helping lend my voice to make suggestions and work with some of the planners and organizers to help add to the program if necessary, or just add a voice when questions come in. So that's really positive. A second group that I'm working with is the Client Speaker Committee, and I believe with Timothy we're working on this. So with that, we're there to spread the word to different shareholders and stakeholders and people across America and Canada and internationally, I suppose, and just the great work that Leader Dog is doing, and try to encourage those that are needing the service to come to Leader Dog. So of course, with my experience being just so wonderful, it's an absolute joy to spread the word on behalf of Leader Dog.
And we are so thankful for both of you going out and speaking on our behalf. I know Timothy travels quite a bit as well, doing some of these speaking arrangements. And then,
yeah, I think that's one of the most important things that we ask of kind of like all clients too, is just like sharing your experience. And like you said, Stuart, it being so wonderful, and who better to hear it from than somebody who's gone through it. So you two both being on that client speaker committee and group and being willing to travel and share your experience has been fantastic. And we thank anybody who is always willing to do that. And I do want to say too quickly you did a great explanation of the VOCAT team, the Voices of the Client Advisory team. It is so important that we get client feedback and client input on all these different topics. Like Melissa Weiss has said, our president and CEO, you know, she's constantly saying who's not at the table, right? Like who's not being represented here? Who do we need to hear from before making any decision? And obviously our number one is clients. And so this team is so important. We bring different topics to them. You know, we're always asking team members about anything that they want to know more about or more feedback from. And so it's just such an important group. And thank you so much for being a part of those two. But I will let you keep going because you have more that you're involved with our organization.
Well, yes, the last two committees, I suppose, that I'm working with is the Leader Dog Ethics Committee.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working with, obviously, with ethics of Leader Dog in general, and some, you know, we're working with a little bit more of like regarding policy, clients' bill of rights, and things like that. So I just began this committee, and I'm one of the only clients, I believe, on this committee, and so that is just up and running now. So I'm excited to sort of sink my teeth into that and lend some of my expertise and lived experience to that committee. And I think lastly, one of the exciting things coming up with Leader Dog is called the listening session. I'm not sure if that's the final title on it, but that's what we're working on. And basically, this is a committee that will hopefully help people who are perhaps struggling with coming to terms with their blindness or visual impairments. And we're trying to talk to certain people about what are the challenges and what are the reasons that you are not gaining the help that you need or the services that you need. So it's a bit of a learning process for us, and also a means for us to share what we do and our experience in order to connect people together and connect our organization to people that may need some help or need help getting started with their vision loss needs.
Yeah, I think those listening sessions are hopefully going to be really informative on our end. That's kind of part of that unmet needs survey. So if you listen to a previous podcast with Christy Plesher, she really kind of dove into that survey that we're doing. And this is kind of a piece of that. And Stuart's been incredibly helpful to try to navigate what the best even format is to do this and how to do this and what questions to ask and who to be asking. There's so much to learn, I think. And so that's fantastic. Stuart, you are doing a lot for Leader Dog. We cannot thank you enough for being involved in so many things. And I think you're a great example of also sharing about how much Leader Dog just has going on. You know, we have 11 different committees that all are constantly working on different topics and categories and things to try to improve our organization and make it the best that it can be. I know the ethics committee is one of our newer ones, but so important to make sure that we're doing the best that we can and know all the facts and get all the information and make sure that we're doing what we can. So your expertise is greatly appreciated.
You know, I've had the privilege of hearing your story a couple of times now, Timothy, and it's through stories like yours, you know, your story and your background of vision loss and your background as kind of a former athlete and active person struggling with vision loss and just what that meant to you as a person, as a family man, as a husband, that really resonated with me. And you know, getting voices out there that are similar, I think, are so important. And that is what the encouragement that is needed half of the time, just for people to get involved and come to terms with their disability and their ability, and just for saying, look, I have a visual impairment. I need to do something about it. And there's ways to be independent despite having this difficulty. So your story really meant a lot to me.
Well, the more I go out, I find out there's people, my story's the same as everybody else's. It's just, we all got to realize we go through these cycles, and it's just, it's not unique to me, it's unique to us. And when I go out and talk, I tell everybody, thank you for doing what you've done for me, but there's other people out there, and just like me. And it's impactful, because I know there's somebody sitting today that's going through depression, or somebody who's trying to seek help and they have no place to go. And that's why we need to advocate and try to find these people and get them the help that they need. So the sooner we do that, the better it is. And Leader Dog is a great organization for doing that. Now, you come back and you got a guide dog. What is your guide dog's name? And tell us a little about him.
Yeah, so I came back for a guide dog, and it was quite the experience. I was very excited after going through the O&M process and gaining my skills for at least a year. I came back to Leader Dog with the excitement of gaining a guide dog. It's a beautiful black lab named Radar, and it was just such a joy to work with them. That being said, it was a joy, yet it was difficult at the same time. Radar was a very hardworking dog. He was incredibly motivated. He was incredibly strong, and he just had this workmanlike mentality about him. And I think, you know, the Leader Dog organization does such a good job of researching their clients. So I think they looked at me and and just from my last podcast knew that, we shared about my athletic background and marathon running and whatnot. So they paired me up with a pretty strong, active dog, which was awesome. And I loved it. And he just had this workman-like mentality, as I said. But unfortunately, he tried to work out some of the issues that he had. He had a couple of issues where his workman-like mentality took over a little too much, and he was a little bit he worked quickly, and he was very he was just so motivated to do the right thing, but at the same time he was distracted, and that was a difficult process. So we had to work like crazy, and we really tried hard, both at Leader Dog and at home. And it was just deemed that Radar, unfortunately, he needed to be career changed. So it was a really, really tough blow. It was something that I'd worked at and I was so excited for. And, I'm a dog person. I've had dogs my whole life, and I just was under the assumption, or maybe, I don't know about the assumption, but I just assumed it would go perfectly well. Mm-hmm. And it was a really challenging time. I'm not necessarily an overly emotional person, but it was tough. It was really tough after it didn't work out. We made the decision as a group at Leader Dog. We had several conversations, and we put a lot of work into making the effort for it to work. And unfortunately, Radar chose not to be a guide dog. So it was a really difficult time.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you, Stuart, for sharing this, because like you mentioned, right, you kind of thought it would just go perfectly, because that is what we hear the majority of the time, is how fantastic the match is and everything goes well. And I know you were kind of nervous to share, if you should share, didn't want to share because you didn't want to put Leader Dog in negative light, but this is the reality of the situation. And so I'm so thankful that you are willing to share your experience and your story with Radar, because it is really hard, and it's not always a happy ending. Sometimes there's dog switches in class. Sometimes, career changed before people even leave home and they go home without a dog. Or in your case, right, you and Radar tried everything together. You went home, you continued to work, you got the support from the team, and it just wasn't going to work. And we want you to have a dog that's going to benefit your life and not in a negative way at all, right? Otherwise, that defeats the purpose of having a guide dog. And so I'm sorry that happened and that it didn't work out with Radar, but I'm happy to hear, I know you are on the wait list and kind of just waiting for that next match. Can you tell us a little bit about, how did, I know you said disappointment, right? Like that it was totally upsetting, but what helped you kind of get through that? And what made you decide that, I still want to continue with this journey. I want to try again?
Well, I think first of all, the fact that I gained such positive and strong O&M skills at Leader Dog. So I definitely have the training that I need to be mobile in my hometown of Ottawa. I'm quite confident with my white cane. I can get around. I think that's the main thing. It's not like I'm left stuck. At the same time, just with limited vision and with declining vision, I just can kind of see what's coming ahead of me here, with my vision continuing to deteriorate. I just was so looking forward to the journey together with my guide dog as my vision continues to kind of go downhill, to be able to create this partnership and work together and kind of get through it. Now, saying that, I'm a realist at the same time, and I understand that dogs can be dogs, and sometimes these things happen. Like they're not robots, they're not computers, right? They're their own. They're an animal, so these things will happen, and I've heard of that happening to several other people in different organizations and so on. But what I do know, I've also talked to so many people at Leader Dog, and their experience is incredible. They've gone home with their Leader Dog. Someone like Timothy, and they just have this unbelievable relationship with their Leader Dog, and things are just going so positively. And I know that's the majority by far of what happens. And I know that I'm the exception, which is, unfortunate for me, but it's not to say that I won't come back. I think one thing that I learned about Leader Dog in my first experience going there for O&M training was, and it really stuck with me, was I remember one of the clients asked in one of the class sessions, what about this other guide dog organization? I've heard that they do this well. I've heard that they might be better at this, and so on. And what really sold me on Leader Dog, it was that moment, one of the, whoever it was that responded said, yep, that guide dog organization is excellent. They do this, this, and this very, very well. They have a good reputation. They have a good rapport with their clients, and so on and so on. They were absolutely complementary to this other organization, who in a sense, they're, I don't know if you'd call them competitors.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, for sure.
Because I know people do have choices on where to go, but the fact that Leader Dog was so secure in what they do, and from my experience, from top to bottom, from the client service staff to the kitchen staff to the guide dog mobility instructors to the O&M instructors, right up to the CEO, everyone was treated with such class and being so warm and caring. And you just believe in what they do because of the people that work there. I think when you're at the top of something, you don't need to brag about it. And I can see that with Leader Dog. They're just so good that they don't need to, bring anybody else down to lift themselves up. They're just that good. So that's what I learned right away, and that's something that I've sort of taken as an athlete. Like, if you are that good, you don't need to brag about yourself, and that's how I feel Leader Dog is. They're at the top, so that's why I'm coming back. They are that good.
Thank you, Stuart. I think that is what you're sharing is so important to share, because it does happen. It does happen to other people, and you are not alone. You aren't the first, and you aren't the last. Like you said, majority of people does work out, but it does happen. And the fact that you have faith in Leader Dog to come back and do that, I think we're very thankful for that. And there are so many other organizations out there too that we want everyone to have the best fit for them. If we're not the best fit, there's going to be somebody else that's a better fit. So thank you for sharing that again. But I did really want to ask real quick. You just got into the Hall of Fame. We saw. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
You're being inducted right into the Athletics Ontario Hall of Fame in Toronto this fall. Is that correct?
September. That's right. Yeah. Very unexpected, out of the blue. I received notification, a couple of months ago that I had been, my name was put forward for this Athletics Ontario Hall of Fame for athletics. So that's for track and field in our province. And it went through. I was selected, and I'm going to be receiving the induction ceremony, or going to the induction ceremony in September of 2024. So I look forward to that. It's a huge honor, just reflecting my time as an athlete, and I suppose my career as a coach going forward as well. So it's really exciting.
Yes.
Well, you should be congratulated.
I mean, we have a Hall of Famer on our podcast.
I know. Look at us. And a Paralympian.
This right here proves that, people with blindness or visual impairment can still do. And he has taken his life, and oh my gosh, I'm blown away what you do, Stuart. And you should be congratulated for that. Good job.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. That is so cool. I feel like you've had so many little humble brags, and you say them so like, oh, it's okay. Like, no big deal. And Christine and I are both like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, this is insane. Like, these are not normal tasks that people complete.
We are great at being hype women. We're good at it.
Yes, they are.
Well, one thing I do look forward to one time is coming down for your 5K. So I'd love to come and run that. I'd love to come run that sometime.
You're used to the cold, Stuart.
Yeah.
That's why you
And don't worry, I'm
100%.
not going to put you in Johnny and I's race.
No, because Stuart's going to beat both of you. Stuart's going to be like lapping you.
Yeah, he's going to be like 20 minutes later, there's Christina.
Johnny will come in second.
As he always does.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I just had to bring it up.
Keep coming. That's too funny. Well, thank you, Stuart. I can't believe we've already reached the end of the second podcast, part 2 with you. And I know we didn't even touch on all of the things that you have been a part of and done and accomplished so far. But we want to thank you for sharing all that you have done and your journey with Leader Dog. It's so important to share these stories. And we hopefully will have a part 3 at some point when you do get matched again with a guide dog, and hope it's a great success. So thank you for everything that you continue to do for our organization.
My pleasure. Nice talking with everybody.
And thank you so much to our listeners for listening to the Taking the Lead podcast. I'm Leslie Hoskins with host Timothy Cunio and Christina Hepner. We hope you enjoyed learning part 2 about Stuart and all of the things that he has accomplished and experienced and shared with us today. Please join us next time as we continue to dive into the world of blindness.
And if you'd like to learn more about applying to our free services at Leader Dog, you can head to leaderdog.org or call us at 888-777-5332. And don't forget, you can reach us at takingthelead@leaderdog.org with any questions or ideas. If you like today's podcast, make sure to hit subscribe and check us out wherever podcasts stream.